Hi everyone, welcome to WorkBC Live. I'd like to acknowledge that this session is taking place on the traditional, ancestral and unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam nations. We honor elders past, present, and emerging. Sorry about any mispronunciations there, but I'll take it away, Emma.
That's right. So welcome to WorkBC Live session. That was Harry, our wonderful lead job developer, and I am Emma Tang, and I am the case manager coordinator at the Vancouver South WorkBC. So welcome to this live session. So WorkBC Center, we are basically a free employment services for all job seekers in BC. Essentially, we have a range of services that essentially with the end goal of helping you find work and land sustainable employment. And so today we actually have an exciting topic, and it is all about how to create an impressive resume and what are some of the things that we should watch out for, knowing that this is, we are still in the pandemic times. And this is an absolutely important topic. And usually when job seekers come to WorkBC Center, certainly the first thing we like to ask is, do you have a resume prepared for your job search?
Okay. And before we do that, I'd just like to introduce our special guest, Evelyn. Evelyn is our Senior Operations Manager. So take it away, Evelyn. Hi.
Hi, nice to see everybody. Nice to meet everybody. So as Emma said, we're going to be talking about resumes today. And the different, what employers are looking for, what the importance is of having a good resume that really reflects your skills.
Now, Evelyn, you've got years of experience of looking at resumes
Yes.
as an employer.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hired either me, let's go with me.
Okay.
When you hired me for this job,
Yes.
how did you, what did you see on my resume that made you think that's my guy?
Okay, I was interested, pardon me, in the skill set that you had done this kind of work before, and that you really understood, how to present clients to prospective employers, how to market them to prospective employers. So that was something that I really liked. I really liked the fact that you had an interesting background. You've got graphic design, you've got, lots of media, and it was presented well. It told me the story of Harry.
Okay, and so when you now look at resumes,
Mm-hmm.
do you still look to the same thing? This was 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
So now that we're in this whole pandemic situation, and people are trying to be creative and innovative about how they present themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say are the key points that you look into now?
That your resume has to really be tailored to the job you're applying for. We've always known that. I think it needs to be even more so now, because it needs to be really quick, really clear, good information that really describes the skills that you have.
Okay. And Emma, you've been a case manager for a while now. I won't say how long. But you've been a case manager for a while. So what is the best advice you can give to someone who is applying for, let's say, a account manager position?
Okay. Well, I think the first step is, echoing what Evelyn has said, is really knowing what your skills really are. And that takes time, because I think a lot of times when we're looking for work, we're usually in a bit of a panic mode. And the thing too is that what I notice, when job seekers are really eager to apply, they see that, oh my goodness, this job posting just came out. And then the first thing they want to do is, oh yeah, I've got this resume saved on this drive, and I think it's good enough because I want to make sure that I meet the deadline, or maybe because the posting just came out and that within 2 hours there may be 1,000 people who may have already viewed the resume, right? And so then the urgency or the tendency wanting to hastily just create a resume doesn't really work, because you really want to study the job posting very, very thoroughly. You want to do a little bit of self-work, right? Knowing what your skills really are. And we understand too that, a lot of job seekers, they go through those, it was an emotional roller coaster, right? And then what happens then is that it does impact your confidence level quite a bit, especially when you already sort of have been looking for work for a while and you're not getting any response. But deep down is you know that you have the skills, you know what you can bring to the employer. And so having that mental attitude, that positivity first before you even start revising or developing a brand new resume, I think that's really important. So going back to your question, Harry, about the account manager, of course, study the job posting very thoroughly, know exactly what are the skills that the employers are looking for, and thinking of the keywords, right? Because we know that right now, a lot of the larger companies, I would assume an account manager position probably would be for a fairly, medium to large size company where they may be using what they call the applicant tracking system, or the ATS system. And so having those keywords on that resume and incorporating that right on the resume and the cover letter as well is very important.
Okay, so that's fantastic information there. But how would you, as a case manager or a former case manager, help me recognize my skills?
Love that
What
question.
can you do in terms of WorkBC? How can WorkBC
Yes.
help me?
Yes, and this is where we have, obviously, we need to emphasize the one-on-one employment counseling that we offer, right, to job seekers, as well as the workshops, right? Because the workshops are done in a group environment. You get a lot of wonderful feedback. Well, first of all, you learn the materials from the group sessions, learn how to develop a good resume, the theory behind it, why we're saying these things. And we know we have occasionally what meets a little bit of resistance. We know that resume writing is not everyone's forte. Writing is not everyone's forte, period, right? And so just knowing that when you're in a group session, that other participants are also in the same boat, that they're not alone. Everybody is there's a period of struggling, right? I mean, that, these are the challenges everyone, honestly, I think in most workshop sessions, even when the topic is actually resume, there's a lot of other discussion that goes on within the group that can be very empowering and can be very uplifting and can, just kind of drive away that, the job search blues. So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, but by the way, we do deliver all the sessions virtually now, which is great because we are trying to also adapt to this pandemonium of an environment.
Yeah.
So so that's great. So Evelyn, back to you. Like, what I want to know is like how do you think resumes have evolved from, say, before the pandemic to now?
I would say it needs to be clearer. Your information needs to be really clear. You need to have a really good profile or snapshot of who it is that you are, what you bring to the table as it relates to that job posting. The tailoring is the most important piece. Also, when you're working with your case manager or one of the facilitators, they're going to really help you to understand and ask you a lot of questions so that they can better understand your skill set and what level you are and where you are with your skills. And in doing that, it also gives you that, the client, they start to see a little bit, oh yeah, I do have the skills. I do have good skills. It is a real confidence booster as well. Because as Emma said, when we're not working, like we have a job and we're feeling okay, and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, pandemic right now, we go from feeling okay, we lose our job, and boop, our self-esteem goes right down. So we really want to help you here to get some of that self-esteem back, get that confidence back by asking lots of questions to help you to really understand what you have to offer. So it needs to be clear to that employer as it relates to their work. You show them, you mirror that in a sense. You don't copy it, but you show them how you have those skills. And you keep it short and sweet, but tell the story. The big thing is always tell the story.
So, okay, I've told my story on paper now. I'm ready to go out into the world and speak to employers and do my thing with employers. So how would I go out and present myself if I was going for a job a local grocery store?
That's going to be a little bit different. And it's right now because of how things have changed in the last couple of days. Generally, I would say the best way to go in any of those jobs that are customer service related, where you're going to be talking to people with your resume masked up, put together in a way that makes sense for that kind of work. So you go dress nicely, probably business casual. Look it up. You can see what business casual might look like. Also, you need to be clean and tidy, smell good, not cologne though, and go in a presentable manner and be polite and friendly, because that is what that prospective employer is looking for.
Yeah.
It's the same. I know we were talking about hospitality, a while ago, and hospitality is another one of those kinds of job areas where they want to see the person. They want to see how you present. Retail sales, another one. If it's a fashion store, they want to see that you understand fashion because you're going to be selling it. So those are the kinds of things that when you're in those more people-oriented face-to-face, that's what those kinds of things to be looking for.
Okay, and I have to say that the interesting point there, one of the most interesting points was the cologne thing.
Yes,
Because
yes.
the last thing you want to do is wear too much cologne and you're kicking off the manager's allergies and
Yes,
the sneezing in your face, which will kind of not be good for the environment that we're in at the moment. So
yes.
please avoid that.
That's right.
No cologne,
And-
no perfume.
yeah, so I know we spoke a little bit about this earlier, which was about construction and
Yes.
what you would do on in that occasion. So I'm a construction worker, and do I go out in my suit? or-
You go out like you're ready to go to work, only a neat and tidy. Okay, like
Okay.
the t-shirt's clean, you've got your work boots on, you've got your jeans. If you need tools, you have maybe your tools in your car so that you can zip and get them. Because many times you'll walk onto that construction site with your resume, maybe not get work. If they need you, they want you on the spot right now. So you need to be prepared and ready to go.
Okay, so Emma, I understand you drove in today. So how many construction sites did you see on the way here?
So many.
Yeah, there you go. It's Canby,
Absolutely.
7575 Canby Street, and that's where we saw them. Right?
Right. Exactly.
And I think it's a very interesting point. You've got to adapt and dress to the environment that you are potentially looking to work in. So that is a massive key point there. If you have a pen and paper ready, please write that down.
And don't estimate the power and importance of a good resume. Because
Yes.
even when it's an entry level, you think, well, it's maybe a job that may not, require a lot of skills. But the thing is, nonetheless, it is still it's basically showing respect to yourself. I think the way I see resume is that you're marketing yourself. You're marketing your skills and you're letting the employer know. Of course, at this moment, as everyone said, it may not be conducive to really actually showing up in person, perhaps to drop off your resume. It depends, right, on the employer. But as long as you have a mask on when you enter the store, then for sure. But it's not. It's the first impression is important, and I think generally, employers do request and would like to see, the entire work history. And so having even a one-page resume, just like what everyone says, reflecting really the skills are important.
Yeah, I totally agree. And
Absolutely.
I definitely listen to Evelyn because she has made some great decisions here for sure. And Emma also, I think you have a great point of view. But one question I was going to ask you, Emma, was how do you? Okay, so there's various types of resume that we see. There's your skills based, and then there's your chronological, and all of them words that we've heard before. But what seems to work the best?
I think my thoughts on that would be a combination of both chronological and functional. It really depends on the person's circumstances. So if you have been out of the workforce for a period of time, and you also don't want to kind of highlight, the fact that your last work may have been 8 or 10 years ago, because whatever circumstances that you may have been going through, you've been out of the workforce, or maybe just studying or doing professional development. The functional and the chronological combination is helpful still, because you would highlight the transferable skills based on what you have studied, which job posting, and then of course the chronological explaining what were some of the key skills and achievements that you have made during the time when you were working. So the combination is good, but you don't want to go. I would say, I don't know if you would both agree about the length of resume, because believe it or not, I have had interesting discussions, sometimes even heated discussion about the length of the resume, which I believe 2-page.
I believe 2 pages is
Yeah.
adequate,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's good enough.
generally, yeah.
Anything more than that should be, that's my opinion. Sorry, Evelyn, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yes, I do agree for the majority of people, 2 pages fine. However, those people in like higher levels or more professional levels, or maybe somebody who is in the kind of field where they've written papers, theirs can be longer. Theirs can be, maybe they have a page with all of their, the things that they've written, or, additional education. So I think those people at either a scientist perhaps, or somebody at a very high level might have one that is longer, but the general, I would say, would be 2 pages.
All right, so, I think, we were talking about this earlier as well.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of conversation, but this particular resume that you're looking at right now, earlier on that we spoke about, what challenges do you see on there that you think that, that you'd like to address to the person who owns that resume?
Well, this person has horizontal list and vertical list of different computer skills. However, when I look at that, to me, it's just a list. It does not tell me the breadth of knowledge of that person, of those particular skills. Also, some of those skills in that list, the vertical or the horizontal list, or both actually, I don't know if they are quite old and so should not be on it. So that would be something that I would need to check with that person, because I think sometimes people think I'll give them a list of all the things that I have, but the list doesn't tell you anything. So that's how I see it. Now, if the list is somewhat qualified, and can be, if they might say what level, like if, let's say Excel, advanced level, or expert level, or intermediate level. I don't want to see basic, because that kind of isn't a good thing. And then also, I want to see, if they have that list and they say what level they are in each one of those computer software programs they know, is how did you use it? That's what I want to know. I want to understand how they used it.
Right.
So what did you use it for? What was the purpose of it? And what was the outcome of it? So that's what I would be looking for. Telling the story.
Yeah, and I agree. In sometimes, being a job developer, I notice that employers, they have time. Some of them do. Some of them don't have time to look at resumes. So some people like the whole bullet points. Some people don't. I'm a bullet point person, as you know, Evan, but I'm a bullet point person. I like to get straight to the point, get straight to the action, and that's that. But I think sometimes those work, but it's always better to have a story in mind, like Evelyn is saying, to kind of just to give yourself a better chance and a better picture to the employer of who you are and why you should be the right person for this role, right? Okay.
And I do agree with the bullet points, because you can tell your story in one line. You can tell a story about how you use let's say an Excel, like in a spreadsheet or what have you, how you use it. And you can do that in a very short statement. It can be one line.
So, I think the point is that we can talk about resumes all day.
Yes.
And that was just a snapshot of, how we think resumes should be done. But there is a deeper process involved here that only WorkBC can provide. Well, other people can, but WorkBC at the moment, that's what we're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
WorkBC, 757 Canby Street, Vancouver South. If you're not a client yet, why? And
Absolutely.
Just before we go, job of the month. So this is something that I've been asked to do as a job developer. So we are promoting 757 Canby Street, Vancouver South. If you're not a client yet, why? And just before we go, job of the month. So this is something that I've been asked to do as a job developer. So we are promoting 757 Canby Street, Vancouver South. the grant strategy consultant, which is basically an account manager, which is why I asked about account management earlier. And this job is working for Granted Consulting, and it's to be a point of contact for clients about grant opportunities for their business via calls, emails, and webinars. If you are interested, please get back to us. Give us a call on
604-263-5005. And again, WorkBC being funded by the Ministry of Social Development. This is entirely free to the community. We are an actual physical resource center, as we already emphasized. We are at 7575 Canby Street. And yes, this is a great place to be and to learn about, how to job search effectively, and that we can assist you and provide the support that's needed, right?
Also, if you are not comfortable in coming to the center, we work with our clients virtually as well. It's what it is you need. We're certainly there to help you.
Yeah, we're happy to sit behind the screen too.
Yeah.
So, right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for Evelyn. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
Our special
Yeah.
guest.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.